is the difference between isentropic flow and adiabatic flow?
Sir,
Reversible
isentropic is
is
reversible adiabatic.
reversible.
Please, one by one, tell me the answers. Anyone first?
Isentropic is a reversible adiabatic process.
Okay. Why they are considering as a reversible adiabatic flow? There is a general term we know about while searching about in net what is isentropic flow. You will get an answer like it is a reversible adiabatic flow. Apart from that, what is isentropic flow? About what is isentropic flow?
We can return to the initial conditions.
To determine the initial conditions. No, not like that. What I'm asking is why they are giving a term isentropic flow, because isentropic flow and adiabatic flows are main thing for this shock formations in our topics, that is aerodynamics and compressible flow topics. So what is the difference between adiabatic flow, where adiabatic flow is focused and where isentropic flow is focused? Anyone? So okay, I will ask another one question. What is the entropy change in adiabatic flow, and that means what is the
Sir,
entropy change across the shock?
entropy remains constant in isentropic,
Yes,
and in adiabatic it changes.
yes, entropy remains constant in adiabatic,
Isentropic,
isentropic. Then entropy
and
changes
in adiabatic flow.
in adiabatic flow. Okay, then what is entropy?
Randomness,
Randomness of
flow.
flow
Sir, streamlines, how much
because
streamlines
of
are
the,
disturbed in the flow.
yes, disturbed in the flow because of the energy change. The main
Yes,
thing focused in adiabatic and isentropic process is the energy change. That's what focused here. So what will change for across a shock? The entropy, whether it will change across a shock or it remains constant across a shock.
So entropy increase.
Entropy increases across a
Yes.
shock.
So because of the temperature increase.
Yes, temperature increases across a shock. So main thing is we should know before starting about this shock and isentropic relation and adiabatic relation. We should know what is the difference between temperature and heat. So we can say that temperature is a degree of hotness, right? Anyone?
yes, sir.
Yes, it is a degree of hotness measured. But heat, we are giving some amount of energy in the form of heat, right?
Yes,
That
sir.
means we are burning some gases, and because of that, heat is the temperature is increased. The temperature is increased, or some process is done, and the temperature of the particular process is increased, or a particular gas is increased from one state to another. This is the difference of temperature and heat. The main thing here is which denotes the adiabatic and isentropic is this temperature and heat only. Okay, okay, fine. So the main application of isentropic that we will see in nozzles and also in the expansion process, where the expansion fan that we saw it in the expansion Prandtl-Meyer expansion waves, where isentropic dominates. But in a normal shock, That means over a shock in the adiabatic process only dominates. That's the main thing. And here in isentropic process, that means in expansion fans and all, we are not giving any heat to the flow. We are not any, that is we can see from a boiler itself, the water is converted into steam and it is heated in a superheated state, and the superheated steam when expanded, it will the expansion the superheated steam only, it is expanded in the turbine. Okay, that's why the expansion process happens and the heat is reduced, and then after it's cooling, like those things will happen in the remaining things. So here also like that only expansion happens, so there is no change in energy and all. Okay, that's why entropy remains constant in that. Okay, so okay, fine, we will move on to this. After that we will discuss and all that things, because they will ask questions like this: whether the entropy increases, entropy decreases in isentropic, adiabatic. See, for here in nozzles, why I am stressing about this means, here in nozzle and all, we will be having this isentropic over shocks and all. There is isentropic compression, isentropic expansion that we will be seeing here because of the shock only. Because here in a nozzle we will be having the expansion process only, but we are not giving any external input to the flow inside. But here we will be considering the expansions only. There also shock will occur, that will be seeing the upcoming slides. So this is the area ratios that depend upon the Mach number values. So depend upon the Mach number, the area ratio changes. So for subsonic values of Mach number, as the Mach number increases, area ratio decreases. That is A by A star decreases. So area decreases means the duct is converging. So if the area ratio decreases, the duct is converging. And for supersonic values, to increase the Mach number, area ratio should increase. That means we need to have a divergent duct. So here the duct diverges. And at m equal to 1, a by a star equal to 1, we will be having a minimum area at the minimum area, that is the throat area. So next thing is the convergent divergent nozzle. So here we can see this convergent portion here and the divergent portion here. And first of all, before explaining this convergent divergent nozzle, what they are doing is they are considering the pressure ratios at the exit and at the inlet. Because of the difference, the pressure ratio only, flow will be happened inside the nozzle. So if the pressure is less than exit pressure, sorry, there is a inlet pressure is if it is high, what will happen means, it is if it is greater than this inlet pressure, the flow will be inside this nozzle. So here the area ratio at the inlet is large, and we can see for a subsonic flow, you can see from here, for a subsonic flow, if the Mach number is want to increase, we need to have a decreased area ratio. So the duct is converging. But at first, in order to maintain we need a reservoir that is kept here. Consider we have a reservoir kept here, and the air is inside this reservoir, and the air is stationary. That's what are stagnant. Therefore, the the pressure of the air is P naught, and the temperature is T naught at the inlet. And at first it is stationary. Therefore, the Mach number will be, the Mach number is 0. So for that Mach number, we need a large area, because we can see from here the area ratio, sorry, for Mach number is increase. If you want to increase the Mach number, we should have a decreased area. But here the Mach number is very low. Here I can say, we can say that the Mach number is very low. That is Mach number is 0. So we need a increased area at the inlet. here the throat area is AT, or we can, in the last session we already throat is A star, but here we are considering as AT, that's the throat, and the exit area AE. So here AE by A star, and here the A star. So we will see this graph and all later. So first, what I'm considering is if consider there is no flow inside the nozzle, so therefore the P naught is equal to PE. Say if the exit pressure is reduced somewhat, that means the exit pressure is equal to, so first the that is P naught by P equal to 1. So there won't be any flow in the nozzle. That is P naught by P equal to the pressure ratio at the inlet and exit is equal to 1, means there won't be any flow inside the nozzle. And if the flow is, if you want to induce the flow inside the nozzle, we need to reduce the exit Mach number. That is the exit Mach number is equal to, I'm slightly reducing the exit Mach number. So if I am reducing the exit Mach number, we will getting a small flow inside the nozzle. The flow will be a subsonic flow. Here we can see the flow will be subsonic flow. Sorry, subsonic flow. And if I am further reducing the exit pressure, first I'm considering the exit pressure as P1. So I am getting a flow inside the nozzle, that is a low subsonic speed, and now I am further reducing this exit pressure as PE2. While reducing it, the flow is further induced in the flow inside the nozzle, and I'm getting the velocity of the, or the Mach number is increased, but also it is also in a subsonic speed only. That means we can say that for an subsonic flow, this converging that converging duct will increase the Mach number. So the Mach number is increased here, but the increased Mach number is also less than 1 only. And after the throat area, the duct is diverging. So for a subsonic flow, what will happen? The Mach number is further reduced. So the pressure is increased. So then next thing, what I'm doing is I'm reducing the pressure furthermore. So if I'm reducing the pressure furthermore, that is PE2, means also the Mach number is, that means slightly I'm reducing the pressure, that is exit Mach number, exit pressure. Mach number is the flow is the velocity of the flow is increased, that, but it is also in subsonic speed only. If I am increasing the pressure, or sorry, reducing the pressure of exit Mach number, is PE3. Now I'm getting a flow where the M is equal to 1 at the throat. So what I'm doing is, first I'm giving a reduced exit pressure, slightly reducing the pressure. If I'm slightly reducing the pressure, the flow is induced in the nozzle and the flow is subsonic. The flow get increased because of the that means the Mach number get increased because of the converging duct. But after that converging duct, we are having a diverging duct. Because of the diverging duct, the Mach number is further reduced because the flow is subsonic. Again, I am reducing the pressure furthermore. By reducing the pressure furthermore, same thing happen, but here we will getting an increased Mach number, but that is also in subsonic level only. Here we are giving 6 conditions. Okay, the 6 conditions only I am explaining. So in the main thing we will be, I will be telling that about the throat, what is a condition, and also how a converging divergent nozzle will experience when it is behaving subsonic, and also when it is behaving supersonic, that I will be telling. Okay, how subsonic nozzle, sorry, supersonic, that means convergent and divergent nozzle will behave when we will experience a supersonic flow, that I am explaining. That is based upon the 6 condition. The first condition, I am reducing the exit pressure. Second condition, I am reducing the exit pressure furthermore. Third condition, I am reducing the exit pressure furthermore. But in this time, at this time, what is happening means the M will become unity at the throat. That is, the Mach number will get sonic at the throat. But after that, again the pressure is increasing. That means because of the divergent session, we know the subsonic force, we will get a decreased velocity only because of the divergent section. Then again, what I'm doing is I am reducing the pressure. That is the fourth condition. In the fourth condition, I am reducing the exit pressure. So what will happen? Here it will behave like a supersonic flows. The flow will get increased here. But one more thing, one main thing is when the Mach number is equal to, for the third condition, when the Mach number is equal to unity, we will be getting a choked flow here. We will be getting a choked flow here. That's what the graph will be like this. The first condition and all, the pressure will get increased. This is the unity. So after this condition, when I am increasing the when I am decreasing the pressure, that means the exit pressure, when I am decreasing the exit pressure ratios, what will be happening? There won't be any increase in mass flow rate. The mass flow rate remains the same. That is the choked condition. That is sorry guys, sorry. The mass flow rate remains constant. That is the main aim for here. So here you can see this at 1, 2, 3. This is the three condition where that I explained. In the third condition, we will be getting a Mach number that is equal to unity. So here we have two values. One value here, and for temperature also we will be getting another one value. This is the Mach number that is that is equal to 1. So we know the formula for P by P naught, that is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 whole power into m square whole power gamma by gamma minus 1. In that m square, I am substituting the value for 1 because Mach number is equal to 1. If I am substituting the value for Mach number that is equal to 1, we will be getting the ratios P by P naught equal to 0.528. And also the temperature ratios, we will be getting the value like T by T naught equal to, that is equal to 0.833, that we have seen in our seen in one classes before the normal shock and all. In normal shock class we have seen this values and all. So for unity we will be getting this value. After this third condition, we will be having the that is the choked condition. This when m equal to 1, we will be getting a choked condition. In a choked condition, the main thing is m equal to 1, and also after that there won't be any increase in mass flow rate. The mass flow rate remains same because after m equal to 1, a normal shock will be formed because the flow is sonic here, and after that the flow is increasing in the divergent section. That means for a supersonic flow, the divergent section Mach number increases. That is Mach number increases. So in a divergent section, a normal shock will be formed here. After the throat, a normal shock will be formed. What will happen by decreasing the velocities, pressure, exit pressure like PE4 and PE5, this normal shock, it will move downstream. When it comes to PE6, the normal shock will come and form at the exit. The normal shock will be formed at the exit of the nozzle. Okay. So here you can see the choked flow conditions. Then for a choked flow, the flow get frozen. That means there won't be any change in the upstream flow. That means the upstream flow don't know what is happening downstream. They won't know there is a change in the exit pressure happening in the downstream of the nozzle. They won't communicate with the downstream exit pressures. That's why there won't be any increase in the mass flow rate. So the condition is said to be choked condition. This is called choked condition. So here you can see this after if the exit pressure is less than P, that is for P4 condition, the exit pressure is lesser than, we will be getting a normal shock here, and the location of the normal shock is considered as D, and we will be seeing while reducing the exit pressure from 4 to 6, the normal shock will be move and it will form at the exit when we come here, see here, when it gets a point, if P equal to P5, that is a normal shock stands precisely at the exit. So when exit pressure is equal to P5 condition, there is the fifth condition. When it comes to fifth condition, the normal shock that will move from here to, that from the throat to the exit of the nozzle, and it will stop here. It will stop here, and after that, if you are going to reduce the pressure furthermore to P6, this shock will move downstream. That is it will move outside, and we will be getting two conditions. One is the under expanded condition, and one is the over expanded condition. We know that if the exit pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure, that the back pressure, that is PE, is less than PB, we will be getting the condition called under expanded nozzle, or the nozzle is said to be under expanded nozzle. And if the exit pressure is greater than back pressure or the atmospheric pressure, that means the pressure outside this region, outside this nozzle region, we will be, the nozzle is said to be over expanded. And if it is the exit pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure or back pressure PB, we will be getting a fully expanded condition. So here if PB equal to P6, we will be getting this over expanded condition. If P6 is less than PB less than P5, we will be getting a condition called sorry, yes, under expanded condition. 1 second. Yes, then if PB is less than P6, we will be getting a over expanded conditions like this. So if P equal to P5, we will be getting a normal shock. After that, we will be getting at the exit, we will be getting reflected shocks, that is oblique shocks we will be getting, and it will get interacted and it will get refracted from that. So this is the condition where the pressure get reduced after the Mach number get reduced after the shocks. Here we will be getting expansion waves at the exit. So after the expansion waves, we know the Mach number get increased for this condition. So this is the thing for under expanded, over expanded, and fully expanded thing. So you can see this.
Sir, could you please explain one more time how oblique shock forms at the exit?
Okay, fine. So here, see, if P6 is less than PB, that means the exit pressure is less than the atmospheric pressure. We will be getting the nozzle is said to be over expanded, and in the over expanded condition, we will be having this. This is the over expanded condition. We will be having the expansion fans starting from the corner of the exit nozzle, and if P6 is greater than, that the exit pressure is greater than atmospheric pressure, we will be having the oblique shock solutions. here you can see this oblique shock formed from this corner. It will behave like a compression corner, and oblique shocks will be formed. And after the shock interactions, the Mach number thereby reduces after this. So that's all. Do you understand this oblique shock and then the expansion fans?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at the exit. So because of this conditions only, we will be getting the shocks and all. That is a oblique shock because of this underexpanded condition, that is exit pressure. If the exit pressure is higher than the back pressure, if the exit pressure is high, means we will be getting oblique shocks, that the normal shock is converted into oblique shock. See, then if the exit pressure is less than back pressure, we will be getting expansion fans at the corners of the exit nozzle exit. So next thing is the diffuser. The main property of the diffuser is we should have a that is it will reduce the velocity and increase the pressure. But here, and also one more thing is we should have a total pressure of very less total pressure during the process. So here we can so here we can see this two type of diffusers. Normally diffusers, two type of diffusers. One is the ideal type diffuser and is the actual type diffuser. Why they are in this ideal type diffuser? It won't be possible because we can keep the normal shocks. Because of the flow will be reduced because of the normal shock only. They are telling that the normal shock will be formed at the divergence section, and because of that the Mach number get reduced. We know that after the normal shock we will be having the normal shock is a strong shock, because and after the shock the Mach number reduces. So they are telling for an ideal supersonic diffuser, at the entry the Mach number will be greater than 1, and while coming to the throat it will be equal to 1, and after that because of the normal shock at the divergence session the Mach number reduces. They are telling like this, but in real time it won't happen, because the normal shock won't stand, or it won't be stagnant at one point. It will move downstream, and we can achieve this type of reduction in flow here, or reduction in the velocity of the flow here for this ideal diffuser. So it is not possible. For that we are but the actual supersonic diffusers will be same. We have a convergence session and also we have a divergence session, but one main thing is we will be having this constant area duct here. That is a constant area throat here. In ideal diffusers, we know the total pressure across the shock it will be changing because of the normal shock. It will be the total pressure is changing, and the total pressure is as I told that in a diffuser we should have a total pressure that should be as lowest as possible, low as possible, because we should minimize the total pressure loss across the in the nozzle session, sorry, in the diffuser. But it is not possible because of this normal shock, because there will be a change in total pressure after the shock. That's why it is not possible. So in order to reduce this, for an actual diffuser we will be having a constant area throat. This is the constant area throat. That means having a duct like throat, and after that we will be having a divergence session. And see here, and the throat area will be very larger comparing to the supersonic flows which have a throat supersonic nozzles and or CD sessions. It will be having a lesser throat area, but here we have a somewhat larger throat area. And we can see because of the reflected or because of the oblique shocks, the shock Mach number will be reduced, and it will become in at the throat it will become m equal to 1, and sometimes a weak shock will also form at the exit, but it won't remain there, and therefore here also what will be happening means the total pressure at the exit will be uh, there is a change in total pressure also, but while comparing to the ideal flow, it on the ideal supersonic diffusers, it will be very less. So this type of diffusers we will be concerning. That means actually in ideal diffusers, what they are telling is the Mach number will be reduced after the in the divergence session, but it cannot be possible in real time because of the shock formed at the normal shock formed at the divergence session. So in order to minimize that effect, we will be using this constant area duct. That's the main thing here. So we will be using the theory parts and all same thing only we can explain here itself. So we will be having a constant area duct. In the constant area duct, due to the reflections and boundary layer interactions of shock waves over the walls of the diffuser, the Mach number is reduced thereby. It is reducing, and finally it will become less than 1 when it leaves the diffuser session. So one more thing I need to um, so we have on some like yes. So here we have a mass flow. This type of sum is mostly asking in your gate exams and all. They ask us to find the mass flow rate, total mass flow rate over the nozzle exit or the engine or in the diffuser. What is the mass flow rate? So in order to calculate this mass flow rate and all, so here we have the question like this: an aircraft is flying at Mach number 3. An aircraft is flying at Mach number 3 at an altitude where ambient pressure and temperature are 50 kilopascal and 200 kilopascal Kelvin. If diverging diffuser of engine is gamma equal to 1.4 and R equal to 287 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin heat through area of 0.05 meter square. So the area given is 0.05 meter square. The mass flow rate of the engine in kilogram per second is. So we need to find the mass flow rate through the engine. So here we have the four options: 197, 232, 790, and 157. So I haven't given any formula for this, but I will solve this sum. M dot equal to P dot A divided by square root of T dot square root of gamma by R 2 divided by gamma plus 1 also gamma plus 1 divided by gamma minus 1. So we have another one formulas also for this mass flow rate. Just note down that formula also. M dot equal to 0.6847 divided by square root of R into T dot P dot into A star. Okay, just note down this formula and Be able to solve this sum by using this formula. This is 2. Okay, this is 2. So here they have given this kilopascal, that is for pressure in kilopascal, and then area, that is 0.05 meter square, and the temperature. So this mass flow rate, it depends upon the pressure and area. That's the main thing. The mass flow rate, it depends upon pressure and area. If pressure is doubled, mass flow rate is doubled. If the area is doubled, mass flow rate is doubled, and if temperature is doubled, the mass flow rate decreases. That is the thing. So we use this formula and calculate the value for this mass flow rate in this sum. Guys, could you able to solve this sum? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Try to solve this sum and find the answer for this.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in formula there is no Mach number. So in question it is given Mach number 3.
Sorry. One, yeah, 1 second. No problem. Just find this answer. No problem with that. Formula is correct only. So here they have given the values for ambient pressure and temperature. That is, the ambient pressure is they have given the value for P and value for temperature T, and they have also given the value for M equal to M. So they have given this 3 values, but here in the formula we have values notations like P naught, that is the stagnation pressure, and also the stagnation temperature. So after finding this 2 value only, we can substitute the values, correct? We need to find this 2 value. After that only we can substitute this value in this equation or in this equation. Both equations are same only. So do we have any way to find this 2 things by using this pressure and temperature and this Mach number term? So here you can see here an aircraft is flying at Mach number 3 at an altitude where the ambient pressure. So it they are mentioning the static pressures at the time the aircraft is flying is at the point the aircraft is flying is 50 kilopascal and 200 Kelvin. So Pascal kilo to convert it into Pascal, that later only, no problem. Or sorry, that later you can see. First we need to find the stagnation, because we need to find the mass flow rate. So here they have given the static pressure, static temperature, and static then Mach number value. We need to find the total pressure and total temperature. So in order to find, we have a formula like this. I'll give a clue so that other things you can find. P naught by P 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square whole power gamma by gamma minus 1. Do you know this formula? We have seen this formula somewhere before. So by this formula, we can substitute the value of this Mach number and also the static pressure, and we can find the value for P naught. The same way, we can also find the value for what we can also find the value for T naught by using the formula T naught by T equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 into m square. 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square. We have come across these formulas before. So just remember this formula. They will ask questions like this only. This is an gate question only. So please find the answer for P naught and T naught from this equation. Substitute the values of P naught and T naught. Value for static pressure, static temperature, and Mach number in these two formulas, and find the value for P naught and T naught. Guys, did you find out the answers? Anyone reply?
Sir, P naught I am getting 1836.63 kilopascal.
Yes, 183
6.63.
1836.6
63.
kilopascal. Okay, fine. 63 kilopascal. Okay, fine. Then for T naught,
Just calculating.
okay,
Sir, 560 Kelvin.
560.
Kelvin.
So see here, now we have values for this P naught, T naught, and also already we know the value for area. So easily we can substitute the formula here. Also you can substitute here. Both we will get the same answer only. By substituting here, consider this P naught into that is substitute the value in Pascal. Okay, that is into 10 raised to 3, and find the value for this mass flow rate.
Sir, option D 157.
Yes, option D. Everyone got the same answer? Others? Others got the same answer? Okay, fine. So we move on to the next thing. We will solve the other problems later, so we can finish this questions. The next thing is the supersonic wind tunnels. So for supersonic wind tunnel, the important thing for a subsonic and supersonic wind tunnel is difference between the subsonic and supersonic wind tunnel is in subsonic wind tunnels we will be having only a single throat. Here we will be having a double throat, that is a second throat. One is for diffuser. Why we have seen this nozzle and diffuser session in the previous thing is we will be using this nozzle and diffuser in the same equipment, that is supersonic wind tunnels. So wind tunnels will be using nozzle, and same for subsonic wind tunnels also we will be using nozzle and also diffusers. In subsonic wind tunnels, we know that different types of the wind tunnels are open types, closed type, that is a return circuit types and all. For open types, we will be having a settling chamber, that is a wire gas, then settling chamber. After that, we will be having a nozzle, and after the nozzle, we will be having a test section, that is nozzle, then test section. After that, we will be having a diffuser. Finally, we will be, if it is in a suction type, we will be having a fan here, suction fan here, with the motor attached to it. And if it is a blowing type, we will be having here, it will be attached to the front section. But in a suction type, we will be having a settling chamber here. That is, we need to bring the first we will be having a screen or filter or the wire gas to separate the foreign particles with or to stop the foreign particles entering into the test section or into the wind tunnel. After that, we will be having flow straighteners here or a settling chamber here. Then when the flow enters the settling chamber, after that it will, the speed of the flow is increased by using this nozzle section here, nozzle section here. Then the flow enters the test section where the model is kept and it is to be tested. Here the balancing unit will be attached downside, and the pressure scanners will be there. So the if the model is here means, suppose we are keeping the model inside the test station means, we will be having the, consider it is an aerofoil means, we will be having the tapping points, and the tapping points, the tubes will be connected to the DSA pressure scanner or else to a U-tube manometer, U-tube multi-tube manometer, not a U-tube manometer, it is a multi-tube manometer, and we will be having a one pitot tube attached inside the test section, which helps to find the velocity of the flow inside the test section. And then after the test section, the speed should be reduced, so the speed of the air should be reduced, so we will be having a diffuser at the end session. This is for subsonic wind tunnels. We can see it in a clear manner later or in next class. Now we can see how supersonic wind tunnel is designed and what are the things needed for supersonic wind tunnels, and why we are using how we are using this nozzle and diffuser in supersonic wind tunnels, that we will be seeing here. So for a supersonic wind tunnel, first we need a large reservoir, or we need something, some machine or some compressor to increase the pressure of air, so to enter into the test section. So when the exit pressure is reduced, the air will get in, air will enter into the wind tunnel, and after that the flow will continues to the diffuser and it will leave the exit. So here we need a high pressure reservoir that will be attached at the front, or sometimes it will be some vacuum chamber will be attached at the rear end, that is after the diffuser session. So here then we need a convergent divergent nozzle that will be before the test section, and next we need a constant area test section. So here we will be having a constant area test section, then diffuser with a constant area throat. So this is a throat. So here we have two throats. One is the first throat, second one is the second throat, both having different area ratio. Why we are having the different area ratio, that we will be seeing. We already seen that in a supersonic nozzle, the the velocity after the throat, it will get increased, but when in a supersonic diffuser, after the throat, the velocity get decreased and it will be less than 1. So for that purpose, we are using this type of throat here, and we will be having a large area at the diffuser session, and we'll be having a small area at the nozzle session. So as I told earlier, in a supersonic nozzle, after the throat, when we are reducing the pressure here, that means the exit pressure here, beyond the choked condition, that means m equal to 1 condition, when the flow reaches the Mach number unity, that Mach number reaches unity, the condition gets choked. So that after that, the mass flow rate will be constant throughout the flow. When we reduce the exit pressure furthermore, what will happen is normal shock will be formed after this sonic condition. A normal shock will be formed here, and it will move towards the end of the nozzle. Towards the end of the nozzle, it will move here, and after that, it will move towards the test model, where the test model is kept in the test section. And because of this test section, what will happen, this normal shock, it will get converged and it will become an oblique shock. And this oblique shock, it will, because of the oblique shock, it will form the oblique shock, it will get reflected at the walls of the diffusers, and there will be a shock interaction boundary layer at the walls of the diffusers, and because of this, the flow get reduced. That means the Mach number get reduced while moving to one reflected shock to another reflected shock. The Mach number will be subsequently reduced, and when leaving the diffuser, the Mach number will be reduced to the Mach number will be very less than 1, or it will be reduced to subsonic flow when it leaves the wind tunnel. That is the main concept here. So you can see here, so we have a small derivation which denotes the throat area ratios. Based upon this ratio also, some problems they are asking some problems that we will be seeing here. So the nozzle throat area is considered as AT1. The first throat is considered as AT1, and the diffuser throat is considered as AT2. So in the mass flow rate, we know the mass flow m equal to rho AV. So sorry. So I am considering the mass flow over the nozzle as mt m1 dot, and the mass flow over the diffuser is m2. So we know m equal to m1 equal to m2. So rho rho star a star and at star equal to star. Here this is rho AV only, but we know at the throat u equal to a star. Therefore, that means u star equal to a star. So therefore, rho star a1 star at1 equal to rho 2 u2 at2. I'm considering like this. So we know the second throat is somewhat bigger, and that why I will explain later. So AT2 divided by AT1 equal to, from this AT2 divided by AT1 equal to rho 1 star A1 star divided by rho 2 star A2 star. So AT1 divided by, we know A1 star equal to, because both is the throat, so A1 star velocity will be A1 star equal to A2 star. Therefore, AT2 divided by AT1 equal to rho 1 star divided by rho 2 star. From this, rho equal to P by RT. So from the equation, P1 divided by RT1 star divided by P2 divided by RT2 star. From this RT1 get cancelled. So remaining terms we will get P1 star divided by P2 star. You know P1 star formula for this, that is P divided by P naught P naught divided by P equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1. From this formula we know the M equal to 1, so the equation will be reduced like this. So P1 star equal to P naught 1 into 2 divided by gamma plus 1 whole power gamma by gamma minus 1, and also for P2 star, the equation will be P naught 2 into 2 divided by gamma plus 1 whole power gamma by gamma minus 1. So from that, by substituting the two values in the above equation, we will get P naught 1 divided by P naught 2. So these two terms get cancelled, and the remaining terms will be P naught 1 divided by P naught 2. So the total pressure always decreases across the shock wave. We know the total pressure is decreasing across the shock wave. So P naught 1 will be P naught 1 will be less than, sorry, P naught 2 is less than P naught 1. So therefore we will be having the second throat is, we will be having a larger second throat than the first throat. From this equation we will be getting the throat area at the exit will be, or at the, sorry, not at the exit, at the diffuser will be greater, at the diffuser will be greater than the throat area at the nozzle. Okay. But as I told earlier that the throat area at the throat area for ideal diffuser will be same. That means AT1 will be equal to AT2. If we are using an ideal diffuser, the throat area will be same. That means the P0 will become constant, should be constant. If AT1 is equal to AT2, P01 should be equal to, if P01 equal to P02, by cancelling these terms we will get 1, so that AT2 equal to AT1, we will get AT2 equal to AT1. That is equal to, that means the diffuser is a ideal diffuser. That cannot be possible, since, and one more thing, if why we can make if you are making this throat area at the diffuser is less than the throat area at the nozzle, means what will happen, the flow will be choked, and the flow, it will remain at the front section of the nozzle, and it will remain there. The because of that problems will we can't we can't get the correct solution. And we know that if see here, this is a nozzle and we are having a test section here, means if the nozzle if the normal shock is formed here, means at this session the normal shock is formed, means what will happen, we know that Mach number is greater than 1. Mach number is greater than 1 at the exit of the nozzle. And if a normal shock is formed at the exit of the nozzle, means after the shock, definitely the Mach number will be reduced to 1. That means it will become less than 1, because normal shock is a strong shock, and after normal shock the Mach number will be reduced to 1. But for an oblique shock only, after the shock the Mach number will be reduced to supersonic speed, but at a lesser speed. Okay. Suppose we have a Mach number equal to 3 here in oblique shock, means we will be getting a after the shock we will be getting 2.2 or 2.4 like this. But for normal shock, if we are having a normal shock, upstream of the shock we will be having a Mach number greater than 1, but downstream we will be getting a Mach number less than 1 only. This is the main problem here. And if it is less than 1, there is no use of using this. We can't test the supersonic models, or we can test any model in with the supersonic speeds, because the flow will be subsonic in the test section. So we can't do we can't have area ratio, that means that the diffuser ratio less than normal, sorry, nozzle throat section. Okay, the area at the throat should be greater than the area area of the diffuser throat should be greater than the throat of the nozzle. Okay, that's all for this thing, and we can see some problems. First, we will be seeing this problem. And see this problem. So here we have Mach angle for a flow at Mach 2 is the Mach angle for the flow at Mach 2 is. So you all can easily solve this problem.
30
30
degree.
Yes, 30 degree. How you solve this problem?
Sine inverse of 1 by m.
Yes. So Mach angle is mu. So by using the formula mu equal to sine inverse of 1 divided by m. Okay. So by using the formula, substituting the value of m, we can easily find the value of this Mach angle. So the Mach angle is mu. So the answer is 30 degree. Okay. So here we have so in this problem, a low speed wind tunnel has a contraction ratio of 14:1, and the cross sectional area of the test section is 1 meter square. So the cross section area of the test section is 1 meter square. The static pressure difference between the settling chamber and the test section is settling chamber and the test section is 40 centimeter of water column. Assume G equal to gravity equal to 9.81 meter per second square. Density of air equal to 1.2 kilogram per meter cube. Density of water equal to 1000 kilogram per meter cube. The speed of air in test section is So we need to find the speed of the air in the test section. So can you able to solve this sum? So for this, one thing we should consider 40 centimeter of water column, that we need to convert into Pascal or bar something. Convert into Pascal, that's enough. Huh? So for this sum, 1 centimeter of water column is equal to 1 centimeter of water column is equal to water column W dot C. I will be mentioning like this, W dot C, that is equal to 98.0665 Pascal. So from this we can find, here they have given 40 centimeter of water column. And do you know how to calculate the speed of air in the test section? Guys, do you know how to calculate the speed of air in the test section? Anyone? Any suggestions?
Sir, can we use the relation A by A star whole square equal to rho by rho star square? Like that.
No. A by what relation?
A by A star whole square equal to rho by rho star whole square. Like that.
No. See here, they have given one specific condition called static pressure difference between the settling chamber and the test section. So here, see first, I will explain this sum. So here they have given a low speed wind tunnel. We have having a contraction ratio. So it is contracting to this the contraction ratio is 14:1. Here we have the test section as 1 meter square. We'll be having a test section T dot S here. Here we have this contracting area. There is a nozzle here, contracting area. The contraction ratio is 14:1. The static pressure difference between this P naught minus P, that is given, that is equal to 40 centimeter of water column, centimeter of W dot C water column, and they have given the value for rho of air and also rho of water, rho of air and rho of water they have given. They ask us to find the formula for they ask us to find the speed of air in the test section, that is the velocity of air V. So the formula for velocity of air is V equal to square root of 2 into P naught minus P divided by P naught minus P divided by rho. Now I think it is easy for you guys to solve this sum, right?
Sir, 81.10.
80.81.
81.10.
Okay. But for your gate, they will, the answer is 80. No problem. It is around the same thing only. 80. They have given the answer as 80 to 89. No problem. Your answer is correct only. So they will be giving answers like this only. So for this 80 to 89, in between this answer means it is okay. So our value will be B equal to 80. What 80? Answer is 81. I think so.
Yes, sir,
81
81.1.
meter per second.
Yes,
So,
sir, 81.
so listen here. We have in order to for confusing us, they have given the value for rho of water and also gravity and also the contraction ratio and also the cross sectional area. Okay, no need of all these things. Just the speed of air. They have given a specific condition called the static pressure difference between the settling chamber and test section, that is P naught minus P divided by rho. Sorry, P naught minus P they have given, and also because we are considering the speed of air only, so for air we can choose this density of air, that is 1.2. By substituting all these values, we can easily find the velocity of air. That is okay. You understood this question? If this type of sum came means you can answer. Will you able to answer this type of problems? Any?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, fine. So next problem, in a closed circuit supersonic wind tunnel, sorry. So in a closed circuit supersonic wind tunnel, the CD nozzle and test section are followed by a CD diffuser to swallow the starting shock. Here we should have the answers are diffuser throat larger than the nozzle throat and shock located just at the diffuser throat. Diffuser throat larger than the nozzle throat and shock located downstream of the diffuser throat. Diffuser throat same as the nozzle throat and shock located just at the diffuser throat. Diffuser throat same as the nozzle throat and shock located downstream of the diffuser throat. So can you able to answer this question? For your remembrance, I will show you one diagram. So here, consider this is a supersonic wind tunnel. Same question. We are having a nozzle here. We are having a diffuser here. So first, what is happening in this? From the diagram itself, you can understand. What you can understand from this diagram, guys? Anyone?
Diffuser should be larger.
We have a, yes, the diffuser area will be more. So we are having a larger area at the diffuser. So the answers, now we can see the
Option,
reference
sir?
answer. Yes.
Yeah, it's a first option, sir.
So no, I will explain.
Okay.
That also from the diagram, it's see here, in a closed circuit supersonic wind tunnel, the CD nozzle and test section are followed by a CD diffuser to swallow the starting shock. So here we should have the how the shock gets the starting shock gets swallowed, what type of diffuser section, and how what we should have, then we can swallow the starting shock. In order to swallow the starting shock, we need a diffuser throat larger than the nozzle throat. So here so the answers will be from these two things, right? Because other C and D are diffuser throat same as the nozzle throat. It can't be same as the nozzle throat, because if it is same as the nozzle throat, what will happen? The flow will get choked. So yes, the flow will be
Choked, sir.
choked. So these two options are wrong. So the answer should be in between these two options. But see here, the diffuser throat larger than the nozzle throat and the shock located just at the diffuser throat. No, if it is if the shock is just at the nozzle throat, means it can't swallow the starting shock. The shock should be located downstream of the diffuser throat. After the diffuser throat only, the shock will be, a weak shock will be formed. That's why the shock will be located downstream of the diffuser throat. Okay. So here also itself we can see here they are mentioning this weak shock downstream of the, this is the shock located downstream of the diffuser throat. Okay, that's what they are mentioning. After that only the Mach number is reducing. Because of this, the Mach number is reducing and it will become subsonic when it leaves the wind tunnel. Okay, or when it leaves the diffuser section. So the answer is B. Okay. Fine. So here the answer is B. This is also wrong, and the answer is B. Then next thing, the total pressure at a point is defined as the pressure when the flow is brought to rest adiabatically, isentropically, isothermally, isentropically. Super. So total pressure at a point is defined as a pressure when the flow is brought to rest isentropically. Okay, it's correct answer only.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm having one doubt in supersonic wind tunnel.
Yes.
Sir, as the flow leaves nozzle section, the oblique shocks will be formed across the test section, as you said.
Yes.
Sir, so it means when the flow is leaving, it is under expanded flow.
No, that is because of the at the exit only. No, we will consider that supersonic that under expanded and all. You're asking what?
Sir, when the flow at the exit is under expanded, then oblique shock will form, no?
Yes. Under
So,
expanded
sir,
only oblique shocks will be formed.
so it means here the flow is under expanded.
Yes.
So, sir, what will happen if the flow will be over expanded?
Over expanded means we will be having the Mach number will be greater
Expand.
than 1. But because of the diffuser only, we are getting a under expanded flow, and because of the under expanded flow, the shocks will get at the will reflect at the walls of the diffuser, and because of that the velocity is getting reduced.
Okay, okay. So, because of
And
diffuser, flow will be.
one more thing, and why they are in the diagram, why they are giving or they are mentioning this normal shock at the trailing edge region or in the exit of the throat means, see, in an because of the oblique shock, only the flow remains supersonic only. It won't go beyond subsonic. So In order to have a subsonic flow, what will happen? This a normal shock will be formed because of the interactions, and because of the normal shock only, the Mach number will get reduced, and it will become subsonic. Okay. And one more thing, see this shock interaction boundary layer. Because of the reflection of shocks, we will be having one more type of shock also. That is a lambda type shock. Because of this lambda type shock formed here only, we will be having a, see here, it will get reflected like this. And these are getting reflected like this, and we are getting a lambda type shock. This also it will get. Sorry, here I will draw how it is getting a lambda type shock means. See here, a lambda type shock is formed like this. Because of that lambda type shock, a normal shock is formed in the between, and a reflected shock at the two corners. We are having a oblique shock at two corners, but this normal shock at the uh, center, and the normal shock will be moving. Only the normal shock will be moving because of these things and all. This is happening because of the boundary layer interaction in these regions. The boundary layer interaction between these regions will be having a normal lambda type shocks. The shock is lambda type shocks, and after that we will be having this a weak normal shock, and because of this the Mach number will be reduced to subsonic speed. Okay. So our next problem is, consider steady inviscid flow through CD nozzle. We have a steady inviscid flow through a CD nozzle with normal shock in diverging portion of static pressure along the nozzle downstream of the nozzle of the normal shock. So we have here a CD nozzle with a normal shock, or a CD nozzle with normal shock in diverging portion. In diverging portion, the static pressure along the nozzle downstream of the nozzle of the normal shock is, answers are, remains constant, increases isentropically to static pressure at the nozzle exit, decrease isentropically to static pressure at the nozzle exit, can increase or decrease. So answer these questions.
Option C, sir.
What?
Option B, sir.
Option B. Because static pressure will,
It increases, sir, because of the normal shock that has been formed.
because of the normal shock, after the shock, the pressure will increase.
Increase, sir.
The pressure will increase and the velocity is decreased.
Decrease.
Okay. That's why the answer will be increased isentropically to static pressure at the nozzle exit. Okay.
So why it is written isentropically, sir? Flow across the normal shock is adiabatic, na?
Because they are asking about the nozzles now. That is isentropic compression. That's why they are telling us increase isentropically. That's why I told in normal shocks in the nozzles and all, they will say like isentropic compression happening there, and because of that only they are in nozzles no. So that's why they are telling us isentropically to static pressure at the nozzle exit. Okay. It is still, that's why I explained the term that it is adiabatic. It is a reversible adiabatic process. In nozzle and all, the expansion process only will be happening. So, and it is definitely isentropic flow only. The shocks formed will be, still it is an adiabatic only, no. So the shock formed is, they are telling that the normal shock is formed in the nozzle, and what will be happening normally, because of the normal shock, the static pressure will increase after the shock. That's why the static pressure is increasing after the shock. That is increase isentropically to static pressure at the nozzle exit. Okay. So here we have another one problem for this. So for design of Mach number 2, Mach 2 supersonic wind tunnel, calculate the ratio of diffuser throat to nozzle throat area. Ratio of diffuser throat to nozzle throat area. So for this sum, we have seen on formula like
So is
AT2.
it 82 by 81, sir?
Yes, AT2 divided by 81, because they are asking the ratio of diffuser throat area to nozzle throat area. So diffuser throat area is 82, nozzle throat area is 81. That is equal to P01 divided by P01 divided by P02. And but they have given Mach number m equal to 2. So we can't solve this problem because by using this one value alone. We need another one formula like
1.68,
by
sir.
using this 1.68
68.
for area ratio.
Yeah, sir.
You have used gas tables for finding the Mach number equal to 2.
No, sir. Means I have used formula A by A star whole square equal to 1 by m square, 2 by gamma plus 1. Like
Yes.
that.
A by A star.
A star
Yes.
whole square equal to 1 by m square into 2 by gamma plus 1 into 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2 into m square by whole power gamma plus 1 by gamma minus 1.
That also we
Yeah.
can use. But,
You
there
are
is a
given
yes, area ratio formula.
area Mach number relation. Yeah.
Yes, that you have used. But this problem we have for Mach number equal to 2, the P01 by P02 value will be there. So yes, by using this also we can solve. By this area ratio, what you are getting for area ratio, A by A star the whole square
1.68.
1.68, but the answer is 1.32 something around. We are getting almost. So for they are calculating this from gas tables for gas tables like P02 by P01 from gas table, and by using that they are using this type of problems. They won't ask, but for your reference, they will give some pressure ratios for this. Okay, or they will give some other term to find this sum. That is by using this P01 and P02 value. If they are giving means, you can easily find the value for R, or else we can do by using the area ratio only we can find. Yes, correct only. Okay, then we can move on to the next sum. So consider isentropic supersonic flow through convergent divergent nozzle. So an isentropic flow through convergent divergent nozzle. Sorry, one more thing here. See, the main thing is they will ask formulas like this, so sums like this, if they are giving the values for P01 and P02, the stagnation pressures or total pressure at both sessions. If they have given the values for that, means use this formula and find the value for this area ratio at the throat and this test section. Or else if they are not given the value, means use the formula for A by A star, like that. Use it. Okay, so here we have an isentropic supersonic flow through a convergent divergent nozzle with an exit to throat area. Same exit and throat area. AE by A star equal to 10.25 atmospheric pressure, and the reservoir temperature, reservoir pressure and temperature are 5 atmospheric pressure and 333.3 Kelvin. Calculate the Mach number, pressure and temperature at nozzle exit. Calculate the Mach number, pressure and temperature at nozzle exit. So can you able to solve this sum? Because we have this formulas and all. You know all the formulas. P0 by P formula, T0 by T formula, that you know. Consider like this. So for P0 by P, we know the formula for P naught by P, that is equal to 1 plus gamma minus 1 by 2, 1 plus gamma minus 1 divided by 2 into m square whole power gamma by whole square into power whole square, gamma by gamma minus 1. We know this these formulas, and also for T naught to T naught by T also we know the formula. So here they ask us to find the nozzle exit. So consider like this: PE naught by PE and also T naught by TE. Okay. So we need to find this P naught by PE and T naught by TE. So first they have given the area ratio value. So A by A star value. If they have given the area ratio value, means from table only we need to find. So I will be giving the Mach number value. So for finding the Mach number, or else we can use this formula also. A by A star the whole square formula also we can use. So A by A star the whole square formula, that is equal to, that will be in terms of Mach number only. Use this formula.
Sir, they have already given 10.25 atmosphere, means P naught 2 by P naught 1, like that. The area ratio, relation you have, means already in the previous
Yes,
slide you have shown. Yeah.
yes, area relation you have that is A by A star on formula is there now. By using the formula, find the value for Mach number, and after finding the value for Mach number, substitute the Mach number here and find the value for this exit pressure. That's it there. So here what we need to do is, by using this A by A star value formula, A star formula, find the value for Mach number at the exit, ME. Find the value for ME and substitute the value of ME in this formula, and also in T formula, that is T naught by TE formula, and find the value for temperature at the exit and pressure at the exit. That's all. Okay. So they have given the value for area ratio at the throat. Nozzle and the throat is 10.25. So by using the formula, find Mach number. After finding Mach number, find the value for P and T at the exit. Can you able to find the value for first find the value for Mach number at the exit. Everyone know the formula for A by A star? Have you note down that formula?
Sir, can you repeat that formula once again, sir? Will note it. I will note it down, sir.
Okay. I will repeat it. Okay, I will show the formula itself.
Okay, sir.
Note this
Yes, sir.
formula.
Yes, sir. Noted, sir.
Okay, fine. Now find the value for Mach number. If they have asked, if in your GATE exam they are asked to find the exit Mach number by using the area ratio, I mean we should find it like this. If they are given the value for Mach number at the exit and they ask us to find the area ratio, means you can easily directly substitute the value for a Mach number and easily find the value for A by A star. Okay. I'm sorry.
Sir, 0.65 Mach number.
Mach number?
0.65.
No. This A by A star whole square equal to. Have you substituted that?
Yes, sir.
Or else we have one simplified formula for this. Use this. A by, sorry, this is A, consider this A by A star equal to 1 by M
Sir, 1.45.
No, we are getting 3.95 for this, for that.
Sir, that 10.25 atmosphere should we have to convert like
Into Pascal. No, they're keeping it same only.
okay.
Sir, can you tell the redefined formula once, sir?
Once again. Use this formula. Just calculate it. I will calculate it. Okay.
So what is it, sir? Is it written as cube or square? What is it? M square, right?
What?
It's 5 plus M square by 6, sir. The whole part.
5 plus whole cube. Sorry. Whole
The
cube.
whole part. The whole power 3, sir?
Yes, whole power 3.
Okay.
Okay, one more suggestions I will give. Not for this sum. This same thing only. You need to solve that, or else just calculate this area ratio from gas tables. Take this from gas tables, or else we need to use this formula only. First, I will say this difference for subsonic and supersonic flow area ratios. Okay. So if you are sorry in gas tables, for a same Mach number, if they are giving some Mach number, that is if they are giving a Mach number that is equal to sorry, if you are they are giving the area ratio that is equal to 2, and they ask us to calculate the exit Mach number at the nozzle for subsonic flow. Means for a subsonic flow means we should calculate you should check for incompressible flows. That means for subsonic flows we will be having one exit Mach number, and for supersonic flow we will be having one exit Mach number that you can see in gas tables. That also you need to see. Sometimes they will give the formulas, this type of sums they won't ask, I think so, because somehow if they are asking some sum means they ask us to find from the using this problems only. If they want us to solve the sum using some values means they will definitely give the values, or else they will ask us to find ask us to solve the sum using the some formulas. But this is for your understanding purpose only I am telling. So we have another one sum here. See here, the flow is supersonic at exit, the flow is subsonic throughout the nozzle. So in two conditions are there. One is flow is supersonic. If the flow is supersonic for same, but they are given the area ratio as 2. See here, the area ratio is 2. So for same area ratio, they ask us to calculate for two types of flows. One is for supersonic flow and another one is for subsonic flow. So for supersonic flow means for that area ratio, you will be getting one Mach number that will be in supersonic, that will be supersonic only. But for subsonic flow, if be getting the Mach number in subsonic level only. Okay. So this we can calculate from or take from this value from gas tables, and after that same calculations only. So if they are giving the values at a given data like area ratio and Mach number means easily you can calculate by using the formula. You can easily calculate the values for remaining terms, or else we need to use that formula, that is this formula the formula for area ratio A by A star, and you need to find the value for this Mach number. So have you used this formula and find the value for this M Mach number? Have you find the value? Anyone?
Sir, I'm doing, sir. Please, 2 minutes of time. I'll finish it, sir.
Okay.
Sir, if they provide gas table, then how do we use it, sir, to find Mach?
See, in gas tables, isentropic tables, you need to use isentropic tables. See, there is tables means we have tables for oblique shock, normal shock, and for isentropic flows. Isentropic flows means for gamma equal less than 1, we are less than 1.3 means, that means equal to 1.3 means we have separate tables. We for 1.4 we have separate tables. That I will show in our next class. I will show the gas tables and all, and how to use this gas table we will be discussing. So this problem we will be solving in our next class by using the
Excuse
gas
me,
table. Okay.
sir, while solving the equation, we are getting the power to become 6, sir. So it becomes complex for us to solve it. Huh?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine.
M power
Yes,
6.
yes,
Yes, sir. M power
leave
6,
this.
it will be difficult, sir.
Okay, leave this. We can solve this sum in our next class by using the gas tables. Okay. So for isentropic tables, what they will give means for we have specific values for Mach number, pressure ratios, that is P by P naught, T by T naught, rho by rho naught, A by A star, small a by A naught, M star. These on 7 values they will providing in tables. Okay. So if in our problem they have given the area ratio as some 10.25, so we need to take the value of 10.25. We need to check the value of 10.25 in that isentropic flow of perfect gas table. In our next class, I will show the gas table and all. In our slides itself, I will show. And respective to that value, we need to take the value for P by P naught, T by T naught, rho by rho naught, and also M. Okay. So in our next sum, we have two conditions. One is for supersonic condition. So for supersonic condition, for that particular or for that same area ratio, we need to check the Mach number. And for subsonic condition, we need to check whether in subsonic condition same pressure ratio or area ratio is having. We have a area ratio for subsonic speeds also. That also from isentropic tables only. That means gas tables only we need to take. We should take that value, and other solving methods easy only, same thing only. Or easily we can pick the value from there and easily substitute the values, and we can finish the sum easily. Okay. But I don't know whether they are giving the value. No. That means some problems they are giving the values of stagnation pressure, stagnation temperature, and Mach number. If they are not giving, they won't ask such sums and all. But for our understanding, we can solve this type of sums in our next class. Okay.
So will the gas tables be provided in the exam, sir?
So some they won't provide the exact gas tables. They will provide the values only. Some conditions, this values picked from the here, they will give like that. So that's why I told this type of sums. They won't ask. No problem. That
Okay, sir.
okay. So our remaining topics are wind tunnels, flow visualization, and we will solve this two sums here. Okay, in our next class also. Class itself, by using the gas table, we can solve these two sums, and remaining topics I will cover. That is flow visualization techniques and wind tunnel measurements. What are the techniques used for measuring the different forces in wind tunnel, and also the flow visualization techniques. There's a theory thing. There is additional topics only, content beyond syllabus like topics. Okay, no problem with that. So almost we have covered. So one more suggestion. See, main thing, we will be having some questions like whether the static pressure, total pressure, the total temperature, because for an adiabatic process means total temperature remains constant, total enthalpy remains constant. Likewise, they will ask, or across the normal shock, whether the total pressure is increasing or decreasing, or how when entropy is increased, that also they will ask. Okay, so that things. So if a total pressure is increasing, what will happen to the entropy? So we have a formula for formula like this: E equal to, sorry, uh, we have a formula like P naught 2 divided by P naught 1 equal to E power S2 minus S1, someone R into S2 minus S1, one formula I have shown in your in our normal shock class.
Actually,
I have shown one
power of
formula. Yes,
minus of S2 minus S1 divided by R, sir.
R. Yes, that formula. So by substituting the value of P naught to P naught by P1, and or substituting the value for S2 and S1, we can easily identify whether the total pressure it remains constant, or total pressure is increasing. That we can easily identify from that part. Okay. So if they are asking about total pressure and entropy means, just remember that formula and substitute the values in that formula and easily get the answers. Okay. If you are confusing that whether it is increasing or decreasing, you don't know means, you just use that formula and substitute the values and you can easily find that. Okay. If entropy remains constant, S1 equal to S2 means what will happen? E power 0 equal to
Anything raised to the power of 0, 1, sir.
1. Then straight away P naught will be equal to
P naught 1.
yes, that so like this you just remember that formula and you just solve it. Okay. And one more thing, this expansion fans, I have not said this before. See here in Prandtl-Meyer expansion, some sums they will ask like this. They will give the value for mu1, that is the Mach angle of this shock. This sorry, I will draw like clearly here. So this is an expansion waves. At the expansion corner, they will give like mu1 value and mu3 value. Okay. They ask us to find the mu2 value. Then what we need to do is mu2 equal to mu1 plus, we should take the mu1 plus mu3 divided by 2 is equal to mu2 value. Okay. Mu2 bar, the expansion fan angle, if they are asking for expansion fan angle means you should use this formula, mu1 plus mu3 divided by 2, that is equal to mu2. Okay, that is the expansion fan angle. If they are asking for expansion fan angle means you should use like this, or else we need to use some formulas. And if we know the Mach number next second m2 means we can easily find mu2 angle also. Suppose they are that's why I asked one question, find the Mach angle if the Mach number is equal to 2. So easily we can substitute the value of sine inverse of 1 by m. From that formula we can find the value of mu1. Okay. So in our next class we will be winding up. So before that I will give some suggestions how to remember some things about this aerodynamics and all, where problems will be focused or questions will be asked. Okay. Okay. So it is time we can wind up the session. Thank you so much. Ma'am, on Thursday evening I will be taking, ma'am. Yes, 6 to 8, ma'am. Same. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.